Hello there, everybody. Greetings from Walt Disney World.
We're back
at the Magic Kingdom, the original theme park here at Walt Disney World, which is about to undergo one of, if not the biggest change it's undergone in its more than 50-year history. A change so big, so shocking, and so unexpected that it's left old school Magic Kingdom fans and heck, old school Disney Parks fans absolutely reeling because something Walt Disney himself inspired is going away forever. The modern Walt Disney Company has decided in its infinite wisdom to remove all of this. The rivers of America, the central feature of Frontierland and here at Magic Kingdom, Liberty Square, including the old school fantastic Tom Sawyer Island, which we'll go to in just a minute, and here at Magic Kingdom, the beautiful Liberty Belle Riverboat, and replace it all with a new Cars-themed attraction. That's right, Pixar Cars, as in Lightning McQueen, Tow Mater. Likely you've already heard this news, but if you haven't, you're probably thinking just what I was thinking and all the other old school Disney fans. What the heck? That's right, just a few months ago, back in 2024, Disney announced a whole sweep of new plans for the Magic Kingdom, including a brand new Villains Land to be built back beyond Big Thunder Mountain, and this new Cars-themed expansion, somewhat similar to the Cars Land we have at home in California, in Disney's California Adventure, which was met with great applause until it dawned on everybody that the Cars Land expansion, rather than being built on new land surrounding the Magic Kingdom, would replace this, the rivers of America. Now, right from the very earliest moments of putting the concept together for the original Disneyland, Walt Disney conceived of it having rivers and open green space that would pay tribute to, well, the rivers of America, their history and their importance in shaping the American West. And just as Walt Disney wanted to share his enthusiasm for the old school steam trains and the romance of the railroads, he wanted to inspire the imaginations of his guests with a far-reaching western landscape with those river scenes that shaped American history. That meant canoes as a tribute to the Native Americans who obviously were traveling those riverways first, as well as the early European explorers. Keelboats as a tribute to those early merchants going up and down the river, taking their cargo, and river pirates as well. River rafts to Tom Sawyer's Island, which are so much a part of American folklore. And of course, the grandest and most romantic of them all, the Mississippi River steamboat. Now, Walt Disney grew up in Missouri. He crossed the Mississippi River. He even lived in Kansas City along the Missouri River. Tales of Lewis and Clark and Western exploration and the stories of Mark Twain were a big influence on him in his childhood. To Walt Disney, the pioneer spirit was truly the best of what America had to offer. And although, as he put it, there were some hard facts included in that history he was paying tribute to, nothing paid tribute to that pioneering frontier spirit like the thing that opened the frontiers in the first place, the rivers of America. That's why it was such an essential and important part of Disneyland, even though down in Anaheim, California, at the original, water was scarce and they had quite a bit of trouble filling up the original rivers of America. That's a story for another time. Anyway, when Walt Disney and Company began to plan their Florida project that would become Walt Disney World, there was a theme park included in those plans from the very beginning, and right from the first, there was a Rivers of America, this thing, planned for that new park. Why wouldn't there be? And so Magic Kingdom got its own canoes, keelboats, both of those are long gone, beautiful, ornate Mississippi River-style steamboats, only one of which sadly remains here, and maybe most importantly and most dear to Walt Disney's heart, its own Tom Sawyer Island, which is exactly where we are heading right now. Oh, there's just something so awesome about taking a raft over to Tom Sawyer Island. Now, right from the beginning of designing Disneyland, Walt Disney knew that he wanted to have an island in the middle of the rivers of America for guests to explore. The first version of this didn't open up right away at Disneyland. It took a while for Walt to settle on a concept, on just one concept, one idea, but it was Walt himself who not only settled on the idea for Tom Sawyer Island, but physically sketched out the original plan for the original island himself. Imagineer Marvin Davis was tasked with putting Walt's ideas down on paper, but eventually Walt said, "Give me that thing," grabbed the papers, took them home all night, and according to Marvin Davis, brought back the tracing paper the next day, laid it on his desk, and that is exactly how Tom Sawyer's Island was built. Meaning that this attraction, the Tom Sawyer Island, is the one Disney attraction that Walt Disney personally designed himself. Now, what does it matter that the Walt Disney World version is going away, right? The Walt Disney version is a copy of the one at Disneyland, right? Who cares? We still have the original back home. Well, I care very much because the Disneyland one has changed so much. And one of my favorite things about coming out to Magic Kingdom is that the Tom Sawyer Island here has been left so intact. It's very similar to the way it was in 1971 when it first opened here. I visit it every time I come to Magic Kingdom. And in fact, last year when I was out here, I filmed a whole bunch of footage of it with the idea of doing a video at home on the original Tom Sawyer Island about what that used to be like, using Magic Kingdom as the example of how Tom Sawyer Island should be. I never got around to doing that because, of course, in the meantime, they announced that they are getting rid of Tom Sawyer Island out here. And not only am I a huge fan of Walt Disney, the person, and of course a huge nerd for Disney theme park history, especially the original Disneyland back home, but also including Disney World and Magic Kingdom, of course. But I am also a massive Mark Twain fan. In fact, among my most treasured possessions is a signed letter from Samuel Clemens, aka Mark Twain himself, some early editions of his books. And of course, as a child, my first encounter with Mark Twain was none other than Tom Sawyer Island and the original Mark Twain Riverboat at Disneyland. That must be the first time I ever heard Mark Twain's name. And that inspired me towards a lifetime of reading and exploration. I've traveled all over the American West, visited Mark Twain's birthplace and his boyhood home. Heck, even hunted down places he visited in Europe and in the Wild West. And that's amazing when you think about it, because part of Walt Disney's mission in creating Disneyland in the first place and having a Main Street USA and a Frontierland and a Rivers of America was to inspire America's youth to learn about their history, their past, to open up their imaginations, to pay tribute to some American legends and folklore, and in the case of Tom Sawyer Island specifically, to create a world, a little land of its own, where children of all ages, but especially kids, could roam around freely without parent supervision was the original idea. Explore, open up their imaginations, climb on things, play, and be inspired. All right, so let's get a sense of where we are. We just landed here at Tom's Landing. Frontierland's over there. The Haunted Mansion and Liberty Square are off that way. And look at all these paths to explore here on Tom Sawyer Island. You can see the suspension bridge over here connecting us to the other part of the island with the fort on it. This is exactly what Walt Disney had in mind, an area for kids to explore, much like Tom and Huck and Joe Harper explored their own island. And they very successfully captured that feeling. If you've ever read the book, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, of just exploring a wild and abandoned island, of there being nobody but yourself here, and all kinds of things to discover. And look at this. They've still got Harper's Mill, a lot of stuff here that actually disappeared from the original Tom Sawyer Island at Disneyland when they remodeled it first for Fantasmic and then later for a Pirate's Lair. But let's not compare it to Disneyland anymore. Let's just explore this one for a little while. Here is Harper's Mill over here. There are two mills on this island. I love all the hand-painted signs from none other than Tom Sawyer himself, giving you a little backstory, a little information about some of the things you'll find here. Look how gorgeous and incredible this was. Harper's Mill, named after Joe Harper's old man, according to Tom Sawyer on the sign there. And look at this inside. When that water wheel is turning, all this gristmill stuff works in here. I mean, what incredible attention to detail on Disney's part when they built the Magic Kingdom. And there's my favorite part. Look up there. That's the old hoot owl. That is so awesome. I mean, there's nothing like that anywhere else in Walt Disney World. It's such an iconic piece of the scenery at Magic Kingdom now for 54 years. It all just works so perfectly, because what would Mark Twain's stories be without the Mississippi River and the steamboats? And Tom Sawyer Island provides the most unparalleled view of the Liberty Belle as it travels around the rivers of America. And in fact, look at this behind me. Right along the path from our original Raft landing and Harper's Mill on the way to Aunt Polly's Dockside Inn, the old restaurant here on Tom Sawyer Island. Look at this. We have another of Aunt Polly's fences, which it looks like Tom did not convince his friends to finish painting. And not only do we have Tom and Becky's names on the fence, but Huck Finn wasn't forgotten either. I always loved that. I always loved that you could see it from Liberty Square over there. It's so cute. Huck, Tom, and Becky as the riverboat goes by. I mean, how much better does it get if you're a fan of the adventures of Tom Sawyer or Adventures of Huckleberry Finn? And here it is, Aunt Polly's Dockside Inn. The closest thing to Aunt Polly's house we really get on Tom Sawyer Island. It is obviously no longer in operation. For years, it really only operated seasonally at the busiest times of the year. But originally, when this opened in 1971, it was famous for its fried chicken. Look at this from the sort of north side. You see it resembles very much a sort of classic Aunt Polly's house style architecture. And here's the old counter windows. You can see the Aunt Polly's sign up there, because the Aunt Polly's Dockside Inn was later shortened just to Aunt Polly's. And then here they are, the infamous Tom Sawyer Island Coke machines that very rarely dispense out Cokes, apparently. There's a whole Instagram account dedicated to these things. And I don't know if you can tell by the rust, but these machines have seen better days. They are technically on though, so who knows what you'll get. Beautiful dockside seating, a wonderful view of the Haunted Mansion and Liberty Square from Aunt Polly's side of the island over here. And amazingly, since the last time I was here, look at this just down here on the water's edge in front of the Haunted Mansion. The Barrel Bridge has reopened. Awesome. Wow, that is awesome. Last time I was here, it was completely gone, undergoing refurbishment, but I thought when they announced they were going to close Tom Sawyer Island, why put it back? But it's there. And before we get there, look at this. Look at this crazy crooked path along the water's edge to reach it. We're going to go around and see the entrance. See, look at all these stairs and winding paths and rocks. It's the one place in Magic Kingdom that truly feels wild. And oh, let's not forget about the caves. But first, we've got a date with the Barrel Bridge. I believe when Tom Sawyer Island opened, this little shack here was called Poor Old Jim's Shack, named after Jim from Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. That was supposed to immerse you in the storytelling of the island. Of course, there's no sign on it these days. As you can see, we came from the other way, and now over the Barrel Bridge, we're going Tom and Huck's way. And dude, this Barrel Bridge is intense. Watch your ankles. If you're not careful, your feet will go in the water down there. You gotta try to stick to the high points as much as you can. Whoa, I love that. That sort of encapsulates the whole idea of Tom Sawyer Island, something to get physically interactive with. Wow, look at the views of Liberty Square from here. Ugh, kids running back and forth across this thing the whole time. Whoa, I've been on the island. Whew, I made it across. Boy, that's not as easy on the knees as it used to be. Whew, see, look at that. I've seen kids running across it, adults running across it, getting their feet splashed when the planks touch the water, laughing, having a good time. Everybody loves a good old Barrel Bridge. Look at this, look at all the winding, beautiful paths on Tom Sawyer Island. It reminds me very much of Hannibal, Missouri, Mark Twain's boyhood hometown. And look at that, here comes the riverboat around the bend, past poor old Jim's old forgotten shack. Man, the theming is absolutely perfect. And this whole thing is absolutely stunning. I mean, one of Disney's absolute masterpieces, meaning Walt Disney and the early Walt Disney Company. Tom Sawyer Island, at the original and at this Magic Kingdom. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, we're reaching the top of the sort of main part of Tom Sawyer Island. And before we cross over the Superstition Bridge, the suspension bridge here, which leads over to Tom Sawyer Island's famous fort, which you can see here on the map is just up to see the second half of the island over there. We're just gonna complete the loop really quick and see some of the interior stuff, including Tom Sawyer Island's famous caves. There's Big Thunder Mountain over there, undergoing a year-long complete rejuvenation, replacing the whole track and getting that thing back up to speed for guests to enjoy for many more years to come. Villain's Land is gonna end up being behind that somewhere. Too bad the Cars Land isn't as well, because we're gonna lose all of this. You see all those docks out there for the old canoes and keel boats. That's why there's so many sort of abandoned docks along the rivers of America and the edge of Tom Sawyer Island here today. And there's the entrance to one of the caves on Tom Sawyer Island. Of course, Injun Joe's cave plays a big part in the story of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. And in addition to exploring hills and pathways and barrel bridges and the old American Riverside over here, kids can explore caves all over Tom Sawyer Island as well. But first, traveling back along the path towards where we landed on the rafts, we have Tom Sawyer Island's second mill. Look at this beautiful windmill. Instead of a water-powered mill, a wind-powered one. Now this is something they never had at the original Tom Sawyer Island on Disneyland. This is Potter's Mill, as in Muff Potter, another very important character from Tom Sawyer, which I highly recommend you read if you haven't read it since elementary school. It's very cool that they built some of these details in here, because of course that's how they used to grind everything into flour. And I must say, before we explore anymore, I've noticed that a lot of the streams and ponds on Tom Sawyer Island are currently turned off or empty. That might be because they are eventually getting rid of this place, who knows? That's a little bit disappointing, but look at this right behind Potter's Mill. The entrance to Old Scratch's Mystery Mine. Now this is a very important, very unique Disney attraction, unlike any other they have ever built. Get back to that in just one second. Here's the inside of Potter's Mill. Oh, look at that. You can see Muff Potter's old wheelbarrow. And check that out. See that pole rotating? If you listen carefully, you can actually hear that wood grinding as the windmill turns outside and powers this thing. Wow. Ooh, I love this crooked winding staircase up here. You can still see that beam just turning and turning, twirling, twirling, twirling into the future. Some of Muff Potter's buckets right there. And then look out the window. Every couple of seconds, there it goes. The windmill. You hear the steam whistle from the Mark Twain. I mean, gosh, there's just nothing else like it. I mean, even traveling to Hannibal, Missouri, the real Mark Twain's boyhood hometown that inspired The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, you're not going to see this. You're going to see more McDonald's and Burger King than windmills. Actually, I don't know if there is a Burger King in Hannibal, Missouri, but there is a Wendy's. I love this underneath. This is known as the Little Crooked Bridge. You can see that is definitely not a straight path. In fact, that's part of the fun of Tom Sawyer Island. Nothing is straight, nothing is level. Everything's a little bit wonky, a little bit wild feeling. It feels like you're in danger at every step. You got to pay attention to where you put your feet. And this is what I was talking about streams not running. See, normally there's a beautiful little trickle of water from up on top of the hill there down into the rivers of America. See, look at all the rock-lined paths and the steps everywhere. Everything's winding and twisting, so you lose your sense of direction really quickly, which is fun because it really feels like you're exploring. And then every time you turn around and look over your shoulder, it seems like there comes the Liberty Belle again. So you have the steamboats passing by. It reminds me of the scene in the book Tom Sawyer, where the boys played hooky, went out to the island. The whole town thought they were dead and brought the ferry boat out, and they were shooting cannons off of it, trying to find the boys. And then, of course, Tom shows up, spoiler alert, at his own funeral. Classic. All right, Potter's Mill is essentially the end of our circuit of the island. It's very close to Tom's Landing, where we landed on the raft, as you can see right there. And up on the top of Tom Sawyer Island, there's sort of a lot of blank space, and that is because there used to be playground features up here, big rocks and things that would tilt, spinning rock and a teeter-totter rock. For safety and probably legal reasons, those were phased out here as well as at the original in Disneyland. And look at this. This is one of my favorite details, the old mill pond. So up high here on Tom Sawyer Island, they have the water source that isn't currently running, and you can see it goes down there through that trough, that sluice thing over there, and then that would actually be the stream that powers Harper's mill at the front of the island, that red mill we saw at first. And then look at that, you can see what I mean by all the winding, crooked paths, which presumably originally didn't have all these handrails on the side. It was a little more on you to keep yourself safe. It's awesome. I love that. I love that there's a mill pond up here, so, you know, Grandpa could explain to the young kids back in 1971 how the grist mill was powered. Anyways, the teeter-totter rock and the carousel rock may be gone now, but there is still this right here, Tom Sawyer Scavengers Fort. Because in addition to having their own private pirate island, what kid wouldn't want their own fort? This fort is located basically just above Harper's Mill on the high point of the island facing out towards Frontierland. Country Bears is just over there beyond those trees. At Disneyland, there was sort of a treehouse fort built originally on Tom Sawyer Island. It's still there, but you can no longer access it. It's just too small, too narrow to get up inside of it. Here at Disney World, the Scavenger Fort is a little easier to access and sort of reflects those pirate themes, not because of Pirate's Lair at Disneyland, but because in the book, Tom and Huck and Joe Harper run away to the island because they're running off to be pirates, or to at least pretend to be pirates for a few days. That's why the Jolly Roger flag is just over there above that ship's wheel. And look at this. This looks very much like a fort that some boys could have built in the 1840s. Got some powder barrels there, a little roof made out of a boat. It's gorgeous. Fun to climb on, fun to play on. I think it's been safety-ized a little bit over the years, but the cool thing is, at least for the moment, it's still here. That is awesome. Look at the porthole there. A nice tube to crawl through. Sort of looks like a giant cannon or maybe a smokestack from a steamboat. Awesome. As a kid, I loved running around all over Tom Sawyer Island, unsupervised. Back then, climbing on all the weird play rocks, discovering the tree house, running around all those windy, twisty paths, because, you know, you weren't allowed to run around anywhere else at Disneyland. All of these are still a favorite with kids today. I've seen kids running all over here, but I think the best part of Tom Sawyer Island, bar none, hands down, has got to be the caves. Now, there are 2 caves and 1 tunnel on Tom Sawyer Island. We'll get to the tunnel later. You've got Old Scratch's Mystery Mine that you can see right here, and then you have Injun Joe's Cave. Now, the entrance to Old Scratch's Mystery Mine is very easy to find. It's right here behind Potter's Mill. And Old Scratch is old-timey language for the devil, for sin. Look at that, Old Scratch's Mystery Mine. I have explored many old mines, but this one is the best ever. Strange things happen in here, so keep a sharp eye out and don't stop for nothing, Tom. Now, unlike Injun Joe's Cave, the other cave here, and unlike all the original caves at Disneyland, Old Scratch's Mystery Mine is unlike any other Disney attraction they've ever built anywhere. Because instead of just being sort of a themed cave, this one has got all kinds of optical illusions inside of it, reminiscent of the old haunted shack at Knott's Berry Farm, or mystery spots you can find all across the highways of America. That classic sort of roadside attraction where usually you have sort of a guide to lead you. Not here at the Old Scratch's Mystery Mine. Here it's all self-guided and you explore the mysteries on your own. It is very dark in these caves. They're absolutely fantastic. There's so little light. It is so hard to see in here in real life with the naked eye. It's kind of a masterclass in themed design, these caves, as to how just a few lanterns and strange angles and beams can create the illusion of so much more space than there really is, so much more depth. We'll see that even more in Injun Joe's Cave with the sound effects, but this is already getting weird. Because one of the first tunnels you reach inside of this mystery mine instantly starts to mess with your head as you're traveling along it or watching other guests. They appear to be getting smaller and smaller, and if you look the other way, all the guests look like they're huge when they're entering. Because the height of these beams is messing with you. It's an optical illusion, much like those mystery shacks. Most guests travel through it too quickly really to notice, but that's what's happening here. And as you round the corner, it's going to be hard to tell on camera, but nothing is quite straight. The floor is crooked, the walls are crooked. All of a sudden it completely feels like you've lost your sense of gravity. And the room you reach at the end of the crooked tunnel is no exception. It is all off kilter, just like those Mystery Shack roadside attractions found all over the American highways. Confusion Hill or the Haunted Shack at Knott's Berry Farm. You totally lose your sense of balance. It's really fun when kids walk in here and they're like, "You're losing your sense of gravity. I feel it, kid." And then look at this inside of here, inside this stope over here. It's that old classic trick of water appearing to run uphill into that barrel. Beautifully done. And then look at this down at the bottom of this big cavern in here. Look at that gorgeous waterfall. Again, it looks like the water is running uphill and out of the cave underneath that treasure. There's a blocked off mine shaft over here. I mean, this is so cool and so fun to explore, especially for kids. And when they get to the bottom half, look how high the roof beams are. They appear to be much tinier. So the whole feeling from when you enter to when you exit is that you've shrunk down, that the mine has become absolutely huge. This is a big detail that most people miss when they come here to the Magic Kingdom. You're standing inside of a Mystery Shack style attraction. The only one, as far as I know, ever built by the Walt Disney Company. Now, people just come through here without really ever understanding what it is they're inside of. See how much bigger the cave got, see how huge it is, and this is the ultimate one right here. Forced perspective, because as you travel down this path here, the beams begin to get smaller. So it looks like the guests are growing in stature and getting taller and taller and taller as they travel down the mine. See, so at one end of the mine, I'm tiny, and at the other end, I'm huge! See, look at this. They're getting bigger and bigger as they come along. Look how close those beams are at the end to your head. It's so amazing. Did you ever know that Disney built their own Mystery Shack? Well, if you didn't, you're not alone, because most people had no idea. I like how you can see just a little bit of glittering veins of gold in the exit of the mine. Look at that. Tom Sawyer's gold. Ooh, daylight. Ooh, with the caves here, it is nice to get out of the sunshine and into the shade, but it's Florida, so they are pretty humid inside. All right, there's one other cave for us to explore. That is Injun Joe's cave coming up here. For that one, you keep traveling towards Big Thunder Mountain, past Potter's Mill, and past the entrance to the old scratch mine that we just came out of. Look at that beautiful riverboat over there. Oh, it's glorious. And anyway, just down along the water's edge, actually right about the spot you get your best view of Big Thunder and the suspension bridge up ahead, you have it. The entrance to Injun Joe's cave, all covered with ivy. No Injun Joe's cave sign out here anymore. I'm guessing possibly due to politically correct reasons, perhaps, or maybe the old sign just rotted away. And of course, Injun Joe's cave is inspired by the real-life Mark Twain cave in Hannibal, Missouri, where Mark Twain spent his time as a boy, and so did Tom Sawyer, his fictional counterpart in The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. All right, say goodbye to the sunlight, because we're going in, and this cave is a little less friendly than the other. This cave is it. This cave is the masterclass in how sound effects and lighting, or lack thereof, can totally transform a space. This cave feels endless. It feels vast. And I'm using a special camera in here, but trust me, to the naked eye, it is much darker than it appears on your screen. The design is absolutely fantastic. Look at this, you have all kinds of fossils and things in the side of the cave, just like you do in real limestone caves in Missouri. Look at some of those prehistoric creatures right there. There's all kinds of columns and things that kids can squeeze around. All of this gives the illusion that the cave is much more vast and labyrinthian than it really is. It's a little bit different looking than the real Mark Twain cave that we've been in and filmed in many times. But it's a pretty close. I mean, surprisingly close. Look at this mysterious door here. Hear that wind? As you can see, there are all kinds of little side paths here, dimly lit here by that door and some of the lanterns and the crevices. There's a few stalactites overhead. And look at this. All of a sudden it opens up and gets even creepier than ever. I love that. The use of the faces in the rock, just like real cave formations, it kind of messes with your mind. That's looking backwards the way we came in. So you can see there's some more pillars that kids can crawl around and behind, giving you the sense of exploration, discovery, some stalagmites in here. And when the cave is full of other guests, it's hard to hear, although a little more safer feeling. But in addition to that creepy, eerie wind noise echoing through the cavern, there's also the faint and subtle sound of squeaking bats. Look at that. Can you hear the bats? It actually gets creepier when the guests get farther down the tunnels and you just hear their muffled voices echoing. Terrifying. I mean, for my money, and I've spent a lot of it on Disney, this is one of the best, coolest spaces in Disney parks. People are going to argue about this forever, but the argument really comes down to the same thing it does when it comes to whether kids should be playing on a playground or with physical toys or with screens. Should we have spaces like this that modern kids might consider boring or modern audiences? Or should we have IP characters and Spider-Man and things like that? I come down personally, and it's just my opinion, that spaces like this are the best because they get your imagination going. And that's the thing, a space like this requires imagination. Tom Sawyer Island requires imagination. The rivers of America, as we'll see, require imagination. And it's imagination that set Disney apart from the old, crappy sort of boardwalk-style amusement parks that came before, and from its modern competitors. Unfortunately, it seems like imagination lately has just been drying up. I don't blame the Imagineers, I don't blame the creatives. Ooh, pause, hear that? Hear that bat noise coming out of that crevice? It always comes down to the bean counters, the executives, the suits.
What's all that green space? Do kids even understand what a cave is? Kids don't want caves. Kids want cars. Kids want cars.
Look at this. You think Injun Joe's cave is done, but it's not. It just keeps going and going. Look at this, the bottomless pit. There's a bottomless pit in the cave in Tom Sawyer. There's a supposed bottomless pit in the Mark Twain cave, the real one, in Hannibal, Missouri. So the Injun Joe cave at Walt Disney World is no exception. Look at that down there. It's funny because there isn't even any signage in here or any cast member telling you this is a bottomless pit. And yet I've heard at least 3 kids walk by. And the last one actually said as he was coming across the bridge, "It's a bottomless pit!" I mean, that is a perfect example of suits coming through here going, what is all this? Do people even understand this? Let's put Lightning McQueen on it. Those old school Disney Imagineers are so good at spatial storytelling and visual theming that instantly kids know exactly what this is. All right, this is awesome. Just past the bottomless pit is the labyrinth. You can see here the way that the path splits in multiple directions, which is obviously confusing, a little bit creepy for some of the smaller kids, but that's also what makes it thrilling and engaging and fun and a hands-on adventure. Actually, I'm alone in here right now. I got myself lost twice. I actually don't know what way. I don't even know where I'm looking anymore. But that's the thing, the payoff is when you do finally find the exit, it's like you earned it. All right, here it is. We definitely found it now. There's daylight out there. That was awesome, Injun Joe's Cave. And if there's only a couple of you in here, you're in here by yourself, or if you've just read the book, Adventures of Tom Sawyer, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, the whole time you're thinking, oh my gosh, Injun Joe could be lurking around any corner. Now, I don't want to give the impression that I don't get it, right? I don't want to give you guys the impression that I don't understand what the mentality is in removing all of this. I totally get it. Crooked Path is not ADA compliant. You have to take a raft to get over here. Kids are distracted by all the roller coasters and screaming and bright colors and characters and popcorn buckets everywhere. Nobody reads books anymore, or at least that's the rumor that we've sadly become to accept as a reality. A Cars attraction will draw new crowds. Doubtless more people will visit that per day than visit Tom Sawyer Island currently. It's just that there's a lot of theme parks out there offering thrill rides and characters. Disney was always different because of that promotion of history and imagination, and I never ever thought Disney would be sort of promoting the death of imagination, which is how I see it. Just my opinion. I don't mean that to sound harsh. I just cannot think of another way to phrase it. All right, we've pretty much done all of the main part of Tom Sawyer island, except for the fidgety ledge. That's where the old teeter-totter rock was and stuff like that. We'll see that in a second. We're gonna cross the Superstition Bridge, the suspension bridge now, and make our way towards Fort Langhorn. Look at this. Look at how beautiful this is. Just walking along here, strolling along. It is an actual suspension bridge. You can see it rocking and swaying as people make their way across. Nice and bouncy, nice and fun. Gives you that little thrill and that sense of danger. Beautiful views of the castle and Liberty Square, and on the other side, Frontierland and Big Thunder Mountain. There are wild berries growing on the bushes all over. I mean, this is so gorgeous. And that sort of wild Missouri feeling located in between the western reaches of Frontierland and the old East Coast Liberty Square is perfect theming and provides a perfect transition between spaces. How in the world Cars fits into this, I'm not sure, but let's not think about that. Let's just appreciate what's here while it's still here. Here's the path along the northern half of the island to the ultimate attraction, Fort Langhorn. Originally called Fort Sam Clemens when the Magic Kingdom opened up in 1971, the name was changed in the mid-1990s after the Disney movie Tom and Huck came out. But the weird thing is, it's not like there was a Fort Langhorn in the movie or anything like that. Maybe they felt like Sam Clemens was a little too on the nose, since that's the real life name of Mark Twain. Mark Twain was a pen name. The fort is still named after Mark Twain though, because Mark Twain's middle name was Langhorn. Although the Langhorn that is Mark Twain's middle name actually has an E on the end of it. So a little typo there in Disney history. And look at this old log stockade, this old log fort. I love this. I mean, how cool is this for a kid? You can climb up there on the second story. You can still go in sort of those corner towers over there. You can peek down into the windows of the fort. You can see the blacksmith at work in there, the horses in the corral, even the chickens here where they lay their eggs, and see the feed sacks for the horses and for the soldiers, some of their provisions. I mean, I love stuff like this. Again, it's all about using your imagination. One of my favorite things is the dog down there drinking out of the water bucket there for quenching the iron tools for the blacksmith. You see the blacksmith hard at work back there, and then this guy who's been pumping those bellows for probably quite a long time. And then look at those magnificent horses flicking their tails to keep the flies off of their backsides. I love that there's the old barrel here with the chessboard on it, like the soldiers are gonna use it when they're off duty. And then once again, we'll peek back in here, just because I want to point out that one of these chickens over here, whenever it faces around to look towards you, he just looks angry. Like, what are you doing? You're a peeping Tom. Can you believe these people looking at us? We're trying to lay eggs over here. Get out of here. Then this is awesome. Right across from the blacksmith shop, you have the well right there. And then you've got the women's restroom, AKA the powder room. Get it? I see what they did there. And over here around the corner, of course, past the well, you've got the entrance to the men's restroom. I like that it's powder room in case you need to powder your nose, but it's on theme. Forts would have a powder room for gunpowder, and here the men's restroom is also the powder room. They like to keep the powder restricted to the restrooms in case of any unexpected explosions, if you know what I mean. I can actually hear the Liberty Belle sort of breathing out there as it passes right next to the outside of the fort. I love that the drinking fountains here are located right next to the well, just inside of the gate to Fort Langhorn. And look at this, the blacksmith shop on our left, the powder rooms to the right, and then this used to be Fort Langhorn, or Fort Sam Clemens as it was called. This was the snack bar out here in the fort. They used to have cornbread in here, cold fried chicken apparently, peanut butter and jelly, and ham and cheese sandwiches, and chips, and soda, and lemonade. Now, I don't know how long that snack bar has been closed. I've been coming here for 15 years and I have never, ever seen it open. I assume it ceased operation maybe sometime in the 80s or 90s. It's kind of neat that there's still plates and cast iron skillets and kind of cooking accoutrement out here near the service windows, almost like a tribute to its original purpose. Another little detail I love on the outside of the restrooms, you have sort of your wash tub, and then you got a washboard right here with a brush and even some soap on a rope. You got the American flag flying up high in the center of the fort. And oh, I almost forgot about this. In the back corner over here, another little peek-in window, you've got the guardhouse. And inside of the guardhouse, somebody very much not on duty. Look at that, he just put out his corncob pipe. He's got his wash bowl there. Wait a minute, is this guardhouse like this is where the guard has his house, or is this guardhouse like this is the fort's jail, it's calaboose, it's prison? Maybe that guy's a ne'er-do-well soldier who went off duty and went away without leave and they locked him up, huh? I'm not sure, but if that's supposed to be the guard, he's not doing his job. But at least he's getting 40 winks. Why not? So weird, like I was saying, I come to Tom Sawyer Island every time that I make a trip out to Walt Disney World. I mean, I absolutely love it. And as much as I hate to admit it, yes, normally you find it empty, much like you see it kind of here. Maybe a couple of guests kind of moseying through. But actually, as a matter of fact, today I had to wait for quite a long time to see the fort this empty. There has been a steady stream of visitors here today, and even more visitors every other day I've been out here, because everybody heard they're closing down Tom Sawyer Island, and everybody's making their last excursions over here to check it out. There's no firm date on the closure. They keep saying early 2025. It's February 2025 as I stand here, which is pretty early 2025. It could happen any time now. There has been quite a lot of pushback, quite a lot of hate for the idea, even some pushback from the Florida government, something to do with the water, but Disney's not backing down. So far, it looks like this will indeed be closing sooner rather than later. So this might be our last ever look at Tom Sawyer Island. All right, now you may have noticed the escape tunnel in the background. That's the tunnel I was talking about earlier, our last cave. We will get to that, but of course, we've got to go upstairs into the fort first. And this is the coolest thing ever. Disneyland used to have their own Tom Sawyer Island fort. That fort was originally called Fort Wilderness. It's now closed to the public. Obviously, the Fort Wilderness Resort at Walt Disney World was named for the original Tom Sawyer Island fort at Disneyland. Look at this, used cotton wind shooting. But the old original log fort at Disneyland sadly was suffering all kinds of dry rot and stuff, and so they completely got rid of it to make room for Fantasmic dressing rooms for the big show on Rivers of America back home. And so Disneyland kids, if they want to recapture some of those scenes from their childhood, going upstairs in the fort and shooting rifles out of the rifle ports, have had to come out here to Magic Kingdom for the last 30 years or so. But now, all of this will just be a memory. Look at this, you can get up here to the Sally Ports, up in one of these rifle roosts, and look at that. There's something you don't see every day in a Disney park. It's rifles, and you can actually pull the trigger. They're making sound effects, and you can use your imagination and pretend you're shooting at those pesky runaway trains on Big Thunder Mountain. Dude, I mean, how cool is that? What little kid doesn't want to run around and pretend to shoot guns? They don't even let you play finger guns on playgrounds anymore. And so yeah, this is a little bit of a relic of the past, but what a cool relic of the past. And hey, it is a fact that people were shooting rifles out of forts at other people back in the old West. How cool is it to look out of those little Sally Ports and see the trains zooming by on Big Thunder Mountain, or see the people going by on the riverboat. Back in the day, you would have had canoes and keelboats going by as well. I love seeing the epic cannons up here in the fort, those big old guns pointed up at Big Thunder. And I really love this detail here, the ropes here, so that the recoil of the cannon doesn't just fly all the way across the fort and out the other side. Use cotton with shooting. I'm assuming that means put it in your ears for the explosion, although they did stuff cotton wadding into cannons under the cannonball as well. So those are also some historical details. You got your black powder there, your munitions. Oh, that says XXX on it. That might be some whiskey stored up here in a powder barrel. Those cannon shooters, the artillerymen might have been having some hooch on the side. Now, I don't know if it's for the best or for the worst that the sort of cowboy and Indians craze has died out of American pop culture. You know, those 1950s TV shows didn't really do actual Old West history any favors. That sort of good guy with the white hat sort of thing, and the minimalistic sort of stereotypical portrayal of Native Americans, the oversimplified storylines. After the counterculture movement of the 1960s really made sure to erase all of that from America's public consciousness. But there'll always be people interested in Wild West history and old Western forts. And I can tell you that even though there's not a lot of Wild West shows on TV today, all the kids that have been running through this fort absolutely adore it. And you can see them look confused when they first get off the raft, and then as they explore more and more of Tom Sawyer Island, you see them light up and go, oh my gosh, somewhere I can run around and play and climb? Because these days, they sort of safetied the parks to death. If you've ever been here with like a little 4-year-old, you're constantly like, okay, don't touch that, don't climb on that, we're not allowed to climb on that, we're not allowed to look at that, no running. So Tom Sawyer Island is great because you can run around and get the lead out. As you can see, some more spiral staircases leading down to the ground floor. But I'm gonna go backwards out here, back around the other edge of the fort that we didn't see yet. As you can see, there are plenty of rifle roosts and turrets around the edges. This one here is just above the guardhouse, very similar to the others. You can see a lot of missing rifles. So as they've been damaged over the years, they've been removed. You'll also notice the front of the trigger guard is gone. That's because sadly, a kid got their finger caught in one of these in the original Disneyland and lost part of their finger. It's not always ridiculousness that leads to things being removed here. Sometimes it is because accidents happen and safety concerns. I've just always loved that Magic Kingdom kept their Fort Wilderness, or Fort Langhorn as it is here today, alive. They kept their Tom Sawyer Island very original. They didn't highbucket with pirates like the Disneyland version. They kept it as a place where you can still sort of hear cavalry horns playing and see little kids shooting the fake rifles at the riverboats, and you could climb up and down the stairs and around and just get lost in the fantasy, the adventure of an old Wild West wilderness fort. And look at those beautiful views of the rivers of America out here. That is so gorgeous. And we'll never get that back again, no way. All right, before I go on a rant about how important green spaces and open spaces are to the human psyche, let's peek up here at our last rifle roost, full of barrels and kids shooting guns as they should, and then down the spiral staircase here, back down to the ground floor, near the well, near the entrance to the fort. And then now we've saved the best for last. Let's talk about getting fired up and getting your imagination fired up when you're a little kid. The back of the fort, if you're surrounded by hostiles, has got what else but its own escape tunnel. Escape! It's pretty dark in here. You gotta watch your step. This one's a little more straightforward than the others, although still lit by very dim light, some lanterns, a couple of grates at the floor, and just a little bit of white light. So they've obviously replaced some of the old lanterns with LEDs, but look at this, it's a little labyrinthian in here as well. A couple of different paths you can take, some nooks, some crannies, but much more claustrophobic than the other tunnels, I'll tell you that. It was a very tight squeeze in here. And if you're 6 foot or taller like me, watch your noggin. Look at that grate that goes up to the surface. There's a little bit of daylight coming in there. When it rains, a little bit of water comes in there as well. And look at this, more twists and turns, and like I said, it's much darker in real life than it is on camera. Look how narrow it gets in here. Actually, when you're making your way out, if you look behind you, there's a little secret door right there. That's very creepy. What do they got in there? King Kong? And then you make your way through these narrow little gaps here. And it is quite a tight squeeze for adults. If you're on the heavier side, I don't recommend the escape tunnel. Nah, probably another reason you're getting rid of it. Then, one last little squeeze, and you're back out into the daylight, right underneath the edge of the fort, looking out over the rivers of America. Beyond the fort is supposed to be Indian country. That's where the old burning settlers cabin is along the rivers of America. And you know what? Since we've taken basically a very complete tour of Tom Sawyer Island now, I think the next logical thing to do would be to ride the Liberty Belle herself around the rivers of America. We may never get another chance. Actually, speaking of the Liberty Belle, to the left of the fort, there is a pathway along that side of the rivers of America where you can see an old unused dock over here. There goes that riverboat around the bend, where we can't go on foot. On the map, it used to say hostile Indian territory over there. There she goes, the Liberty Belle. Look at all the construction, by the way, on Big Thunder. If we're taking footage for posterity, look at all of that work. Look at the size of that crane. Wow. All right. I can hear the Festival of Fantasy parade going on over there in Frontierland, and the whistle of the steam train It's really sad that we're not going to be hearing the whistle and bells of the old riverboats running around rivers of America anymore. It's going to be a thing of the past. Definitely a shame, but I guess it is what it is. You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. Taking one last look around the old Superstition Bridge here. My brain cannot comprehend that this is going to be gone one day, probably one day very soon. Make our way back over towards the main portion of Tom Sawyer Island. By the way, the entire time I've been exploring this island and coming past this bridge, this duck, this bird, has been sitting right there, not moving. Not sure if it's guarding a nest or some eggs or what, or just chilling. Maybe just trying to hang out on Tom Sawyer Island as long as it can before it's gone. All right, making our way backwards towards the entrance of Injun Joe's cave. There's actually the old playground site on top of the caves. You access it via a stairwell from sort of the barrel bridge side of the island. You can see the staircase right here with sort of that stick-themed handrail on either side. Look at the rock work. Incredible. And then this is the top where some of the old playground features used to be, long since sort of abandoned and left to just be sort of a wilderness area here. No more teeter-totter rock, no more spinning rock, not even generic playground equipment up here, because of course that would require some supervision, probably lead to liability issues. I hate that that's the sad reality of the world we live in now. And I know that all things must pass, but as a fan of, well, Mark Twain, Tom Sawyer, Walt Disney, and just imagination generally, if I'm being perfectly transparent and I'm just telling you my opinion only, I could not hate this decision more. That doesn't mean I'm gonna boycott the new ride or not enjoy new things that come out here. Like I said, all things must pass. I get it, I'm old enough to understand. I'm just sad for all the future generations of kids and kids at heart who will not get to enjoy the beauty of the original old school Tom Sawyer Island. Not original because there wasn't one before this at Disneyland. Original because it's the last one to have its sort of original theming mostly intact. Original because it's the last Tom Sawyer Island to keep the original spirit of Tom Sawyer Island alive. Original because it's the first and only time Disney has ever built their own Mystery Shack style attraction. And original because it was an original opening day attraction at the Magic Kingdom. All right, well, that's it. That is my farewell to Tom Sawyer Island. I'll probably come over here a bunch more times on this trip. And if it's still open in the summer on my next trip, I'll say my real goodbyes and heartfelt farewells alone off camera without you guys. But as far as together, that's it. That's our last trip. Still possible Disney could change their mind. They still haven't updated Spaceship Earth. They still haven't put in that Mary Poppins ride they said they were going to do. By the way, there's some more restrooms right here at Tom's Landing we didn't really take a look at. Got another checkerboard right there in case you're waiting a while for your raft, some drinking fountains, and then this is where you queue up at the moment to go back to the mainland. Just one last look before we hop on the raft from Tom Sawyer Island and Harper's Mill back out over to Frontierland. So crazy because I felt like we were in a whole different world on Tom Sawyer Island, you know? I really didn't feel like we were in the Magic Kingdom. I felt like we were in the world of Tom Sawyer, like we were back on the Mississippi River exploring some old primeval forest. Fantastic. All right, one more raft trip and we'll be back across to Frontierland. Go get a ride on the Liberty Belle. Man, I'm really gonna miss that noise at Magic Kingdom. I suspect they'll keep some water out here, but you're not gonna hear that sound of those raft motors anymore. Oh, look, I can see where the key goes. Weird. All right, looks like I'm a VIP guest on this raft. No one else is coming. Making our way back across one last time. I love the little hutch right there. That is so cool. Oh, well, some more folks joined us on the raft. Making our way across finally. Look at that one. Wow. Packed full of post-parade adventure seekers making their way out for a little Tom Sawyer Island action. Wow. Wow, this is so weird. Our last Magic Kingdom raft ride together. Farewell, Tom Sawyer Island. Whoa, gotta watch that bump into the dock there at the end. Yikes. All right, that was it. Very weird to think of that being our last raft ride together in the Magic Kingdom. Maybe something will change, you never know, but I don't think so. They don't take guest surveys about this stuff anymore. They don't really care what people have to think about it. I know people are excited to see a new attraction, and don't get me wrong, so am I. Just seems to me and a lot of other people that they have plenty of land at Walt Disney World to build that Cars attraction anywhere else that they want to. I mean, they're building a whole Villains Land right over here behind Big Thunder Mountain. Just does not seem to fit between Big Thunder, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, the Haunted Mansion, and the Old West. You're gonna have cars racing around the mountains? Pretty weird. Although, then again, back in 1955, nobody thought a medieval castle next door to an Old West town next door to, you know what I mean, would work either. I suppose in fairness, it could be they know exactly what they're doing and it'll be amazing. After all, I didn't think that the Country Bear changes would be very good, and they were fantastic. I thought they really made sense. Not that I wouldn't have kept the original show forever, but it was pretty good. Just went out and filmed that the other day. I don't know, I just feel kind of a special, strange loyalty to Walt Disney's vision, that sort of original creative vision that created this place. But after all, it isn't a museum. I totally get that point too. This is why I don't do politics. I'm sort of on every side of everything, you know? I can see it both ways. In my heart though, I'm definitely a nostalgicist. Like I just want things to stay the same forever. And honestly, I just cannot imagine a Kingdom Park, a Disney Castle Park, without its river. I mean, how weird is that gonna be? All right, time to shut up and go catch a steamboat. Hey, look at that, it's Big Al. I remember you. See what I did there? Yeah, Big Al. Listen, I like the new song. I think you do a great version of it. I wish they'd let you finish it. But just between you and me, you know what else I remember? Blood on the saddle. Great song, Big Al. I think you did it even better than Tex Ritter. Fist bump. A fist bump from Big Al. What a day. Bye, Big Al. See you later. I'm not gonna lie to you, I always kind of figured Tom Sawyer Island would be a goner eventually, but I thought they would put bridges over the river so more people could get to it and then just do an attraction that way. I never thought they'd just get rid of it entirely, and I especially never thought they'd get rid of the riverboat. What a wild, weird, strange world we live in. I'm glad I got a little time till the next boat. I needed this frozen treat after that hot island. Up, there she comes around the bend. The Liberty Belle Riverboat. Now the Liberty Belle wasn't the original steamboat here at Magic Kingdom. That was the Admiral Joe Fowler, which was accidentally destroyed during maintenance in 1980. The boat that's now the Liberty Belle started life as the Richard F. Irvine and debuted in 1973 with this single smokestack up here. And if memory serves, was renamed the Liberty Belle when it was refurbished in 1996 to better fit the theme of Liberty Square. Boy, is that a thing of beauty. All right, it's pulling into port here. We are about to go aboard. It is an actual stern wheeler and a real steamboat. Water is heated up into steam, which then does power that rear paddle wheel, which is the thing that propels the boat forward. So in that sense, it's very authentic, although it works a little differently, of course, than, you know, a steamboat from the 19th century, which, by the way, used to explode all the time, so I'm glad it's not totally authentic. All right, this is it. Getting on board. I love that you board this riverboat upstairs. Like there's actually a little gangway bridge, and you board it onto the middle deck. Saves the cast members time when they're unloading the lower deck onto the dock at ground level. Just walking towards the stern of the boat back here, the back of it. Look at the size of that mighty paddle wheel. And look at that beautiful view. The Haunted Mansion, Memento Mori, Fantasyland, Liberty Square out there. Gorgeous. There's the old Aunt Polly's Dockside Inn. Look at this beautiful riverboat. Unbelievable that this is going away. Got your life jackets stowed away in here. Although this almost looks like they could serve drinks here, doesn't it? Then you have your sort of little parlor area inside of here. Of course, real 19th century steamboats would have casinos inside, restaurants, gambling halls, This is kind of nice. Look at how ornate all this is. Sort of richly furnished in imitation of the interiors of old steamboats. You can see an old engraving of one of those right there. This all is going away, folks. Gotta soak it in now while we can. I love the life jacket box there, serving as a bench for people to sit on here. Same thing down at the bow, some more life jacket things at the Mark Twain Riverboat in Disneyland. Sometimes they'll put chairs down there. They'll have Tiana on the boat sometimes, or bands. It's kind of nice. Cruising around now, back to the stern again. I love these staircases right here. We're gonna go up the back stairs here. Look at that, plenty of seating, more life jacket seating. A lot more coverage on the upper deck than you have at the Mark Twain at Disneyland. Those differences will be important because Disneyland's, of course, will remain while this one becomes a thing of the past. You see all these people getting ready for our river excursion, and there she is. The old stars and stripes fluttering in the breeze. Oh, man, it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Here's the secret door to the captain's quarters. We're not allowed in there. Although I hear that much like Disneyland, every once in a while they'll let somebody up there into the pilot house. Although I have not heard of that happening in recent years. I don't think that's happened here at Magic Kingdom for a long time, although I could be wrong. Let me know down in the comments if you've ever been up inside of there. Here you have the bow of the boat getting ready to depart here any second. Lovely view of the castle. There's the dock, there's the gangway right there, still attached. So be off in a second. Up, closing the gate. And off we go.
Welcome to my humble abode.
Oh my gosh, just when I thought it couldn't get any better. Wow, look at the cap. I've never been inside these captain quarters.
You get a pilot's license.
Really?
Yeah, it's a big if.
Oh my gosh.
Here we go.
Look what happened. There's the captain's bed. How about that? Or the pilot's bed, I guess, really.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. So we're doing it. We're going to the pilot house. I did not know you could do this at Magic Kingdom. I knew you used to be able to. Wow! Oh my gosh!
And you don't have to climb.
Yeah, that's amazing. Look at that little staircase right there instead of the ladder at Disneyland.
There's two of these.
Yeah, what was the other one? The
It was,
Admiral Joe Fowler.
yeah, and it was more like the Mark Twain.
Yes.
Dramatic.
This is amazing. I've never been in the pilot house of the Liberty Belle. I wasn't even sure this still happened. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Dakota. This is the coolest thing that's ever happened.
What's your
Oh,
name?
Justin.
Justin from
Yeah.
Anaheim.
Yep. That's me. Look at that. Wave hello down to all our friends
It's Mark Twain.
on the island.
In
Yeah.
a colorful shirt.
Oh, wow. Look at that. See all that condensation from the smokestack. Oh, look at that. The bears. The bears are waving. Whoa. Oh, it's tight.
Yeah, it is, I know.
Oh my gosh. See, I panicked when you stepped away from the wheel there for a second, then I forgot we're on a guide rail. We'll be perfectly fine. There it is, going around Tom Sawyer Island. I never realized just how much bigger the Liberty Belle really was in the Mark Twain home until I got up here in the pilot house. It was huge, way more roomy. Like I said, we are in a guide rail, so the wheel doesn't really technically do anything. But you've got to turn it anyways. It's part of the gig. Part of the gig. There's a little helpful co-pilot right there in the window. Mark Twain's original Spider. Wow, this is awesome. Oh, whoa. You can really hear those steam vents breathing from up here. Dude, this is so cool.
Right
Oh my
there.
gosh, look, there's a little hidden Mark Twain in the pilot house. Look, I got one right here. There's my picture of Mark
Wow.
Twain. Ready to go at any time. Oh, look at that. What a beautiful view of construction. It's
That's
supposed.
like Mother used to make.
Yeah, there it is. There's Fort Langhorn down there. I was just down there. I hope they ain't shooting at us from the rifle roost.
Majestic.
That's what we couldn't see from the fort.
That's beaming.
The old burning settler's cabin, and as Dakota just said, Bambi's whole family.
Yeah, Bambi's whole family.
Oh no, the fire went out. Now they're cold. Cold settlers. Well, still making a burning noise. The burning settlers ran out of fuel. So weird seeing Big Thunder under construction. There's the bridge for the railway. Wow, I guess Villain's Land will be back here soon. That's crazy. It's gonna be Villain's Land. I was gonna say you'll be floating past cars, but I guess not. It's just that we can put googly eyes on the boat and it'll fit in. We can keep
Ka-chowdy.
Ka-chowdy.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is my big break.
This is all you.
I'm doing it. I'm driving
Yeah.
the Liberty Belle. I'm gonna crash it into the eye. No, I'm not. I changed my mind.
Crash it, then we can get the insurance money.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we can save it.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
point. We can
yeah.
buy back the rivers of America with the insurance money.
Let's just take it to Disneyland. They'll have two.
Man, this thing is huge. How big is that wheel? Like 5 feet, I think, maybe? 5 feet across. It's huge.
Big.
A big wheel.
It's the wheel of unfortune. Ooh.
Look at that. There's the village. There's the chief back there waving hello. The Indian village, and the other side of the tracks, little extra scene. The people on the other side of the train. Yeah. And cars.
Howdy. It's already over there. It's already open.
This is so crazy.
Look, yeah.
Yep, there it is. Beautiful.
For the trauma begins, I guess.
It's so cool. This is so awesome.
That's the pirate cave down there.
Oh yeah, river pirates.
The whistle is communication. The bell is usually docking and disembarking.
Okay.
However, it's not a safety warning because it's not as loud as the whistle. Like the whistle I can hear from my house.
Yeah.
So it haunts me.
You can hear it even when you're not at
And I'm
work.
like, oh, what a lovely, beautiful day off.
There's the suspension bridge. We're coming back into the dock, and here goes the whistle again. All right. Suspense. Woo! Oh my gosh.
Haunted house.
Oh, here we come past the haunted mansion. Wow. Oh, I can see the old sea captain's legs from up here. Look at that.
Saying they should do a exercise class at the haunted mansion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could exercise the whole
Jane
thing.
Fonda, Richard Simmons, come on.
Woo!
Then those ghosts would really want to follow you, huh?
Yeah. This is so cool. All right, there's something I've never done at Magic Kingdom before. That is awesome.
And wherever your next journey takes you, we hope it's a magical one. Bye-bye.
I was waiting for that. I knew the bye-bye was coming.
Yay.
You did it, Tour Guide Barbie.
Yay.
We nailed it.
Guess what? You were
What?
such a terrific pilot. You only touched it twice.
That's true.
And you passed.
I didn't break it.
You didn't
I
break
passed. I passed. Goodbye,
passed.
Liberty Belle. Okay, we're going down to the quarters.
Welcome to my club. Welcome to my club. Welcome Squidward. Welcome Squidward.
Oh my gosh.
Welcome, Squidward.
Look at the size of those things.
Justin.
Yep.
There we go.
Look at this. My official pilot certificate. I'm a pilot now. Who knew that if you drove one riverboat around Magic Kingdom, you're allowed to fly airplanes?
Yeah. I think that's what's going on. Let's see.
Oh my gosh, I found the hidden supply of tobacco. There it is. That's Walt's tobacco right there. Just handed it to me and said, I hope you take this. Thank you. You made my day.
Welcome.
Oh my gosh.
You can open a door.
Yay.
License for that.
I got my license. It's right here. Look at that. Okay, Dakota just made my entire week here at the Magic Kingdom, because a little behind the scenes, I only really had to jump on this trip because I was like, dude, I've got to say goodbye to the Rivers of America, to the Liberty Belle, to Tom Sawyer Island. I had no idea, as you could tell from earlier, that you could still go into the pilot house and pilot this thing. Cast members actually apparently don't do this all that often, but if you ask politely, you just might get let inside. And look at that. If you do a good job and you don't crash the boat, you just might get your pilot certificate. All right, one last trip around on the boat. They said I could stay on here. One last view of Tom Sawyer Island from up here on top of the Liberty Belle, which I keep almost calling the Mark Twain, and we'll call it a day. All right, we're slowly making our way around the rivers of America. Here we go around the head of the island. There's Harper's Mill down there. The bird sunning itself down on that rock. Actually makes me wonder what's gonna happen to all the critters. What's gonna happen to all the birds and raccoons? Whoa! And even gators, who use this island as home base. I'm bummed the audio settings were wrong on the camera, so you couldn't hear half, not even half of what Dakota was saying. I go, dude, you should have been a Jungle Cruise skipper. And apparently Dakota was a Jungle Cruise skipper. So I basically had my own sort of private Jungle Cruise style trip around the rivers of America with a little piloting bonus. Look at that. There's Tom's Landing, the raft down there. Gorgeous. There you have the there's the dock on the other side. Look at the crane lowering in more supplies for Big Thunder Mountain. I know I keep saying this, but it's hard to imagine all this is going to be gone. There's Potter's Mill over there. You have your other little dock. You can see the old canoe docks and keelboat docks everywhere. And I don't know why I've never ever thought about this until now. You know how there's the suspension bridge between the two halves of Tom Sawyer Island? Why doesn't that make it Tom Sawyer's Islands? Right? I never thought about that before. It's really two islands. Maybe it's one island at low tide. That must be it. That must be it. Crazy. Looks like there's a cast member down there getting ready to close up the bridge, because Tom Sawyer Island will be closing in just a little bit here as the sun begins to go down. One more look at Big Thunder Mountain under construction. I like how those boards just say hole, hole, hole. One last peek at Fort Langhorn, the old Fort Sam Clemens. Luckily, no one's shooting at us. I just noticed that from up here in the front of the boat, I couldn't hear any of the narration on the boat. And I'm gonna miss that narration. I'm gonna go down below, see if I can hear it a little better from down there. There's a fort. Never knew these buoys had names on them. That one says Raccoon Point. So I guess different spots on the rivers of America have names. Who would have guessed? There's Bambi's whole family, like Dakota was telling us. There it is, the burning settler's cabin. I can see like a little fog coming out. It's a little smoke machine, I guess. Still sort of works. Looks like it needs a recharge, though. Oh, and there's a plastic bag floating in the tree. Beautiful. Unexpected plastic bag. I love that the backside of Big Thunder has some docks and theming on it. There's that railroad bridge again.
Look who's drifted out of the bayou. Off to port, Captain. It's Beacon Joe. Old Beacon's been marking this river for longer than I can remember. Every time the river cuts a new channel, Old Beacon puts out a marker to let us know whether it's safe to travel or not. However, Sam here has been bragging that if push came to shove, he can navigate the Liberty Belle on a heavy dew. Isn't that so, Sam?
Well, I was born humble, Captain, but mostly it's worn off.
There's old Beacon Joe down there, the sort of Rivers America counterpart of that guy on his rocking chair at the Disneyland, Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's an Algonquin Indian village. Most of the Indians along the river don't quite know what to make of our steamboat. They call it Penelore, which means fire canoe, because of the smoke and sparks pouring out of our topstack. The first time we passed this way, they thought it was the return of one of their heavenly messengers. They said our riverboat was a comet of the sun. Just beyond the village, up that hill, is their sacred burial ground. Now, those who fall in battle are placed atop the traditional bed of death. After nightfall, they'll return to mourn the great warriors who brought honor to the tribe.
I believe we ought never to do wrong, Captain, especially when others are looking. Leadsman, sing out.
Mark one, for the last three, half Twain, half Mark Twain. Waterless, red flag, touch it.
Those of you that have been this way before know that the water can get fairly shallow along this stretch of the river. The leadsmen call out the depth. Each mark is a fathom, or 6 feet. Mark Twain is 2 fathoms, and for us that means safe water.
Stay alert. If there's river pirates out here, this is where they'll most likely be. Yep, I can hear them from here. But from all the commotion, it sounds like their interests lie elsewhere.
I love the way that the boat isn't named after Mark Twain here at Magic Kingdom, but the narration has Mark Twain piloting the boat out here, or at least talking to us on the deck. I did notice a mistake in that narration though. They keep saying leadsman instead of leadsman. So the leadsman is the one who would throw a lead weight on the end of a rope down into the water and sing out the depth of the river. But it was leadsman, not leadsman, even though they're spelled the same. They actually do it the correct way at Disneyland in California. It's interesting that that little mistake crept in here at Magic Kingdom. I kind of like that. Right there goes Fort Langhorn. Looks like the sun has come back out to kiss the Superstition Bridge goodnight for us.
Over yonder there in the woods, I've heard folks
Now
say it's haunted.
Making our way back to
Sacred Indian burial grounds. So now it's
Liberty Square. There it is, the Haunted Mansion,
your direction. You won't just be seeing
keelboat dock,
you'll be joining.
and eventually home port.
We're approaching Liberty Square, which is home port for us. We'll be putting into dock shortly, so those of you on the upper 2 decks might be of a mind to collect all your parcels and head to the lower deck. If you got young'uns, you'll want to take them in hand before they get out of hand. On behalf of the captain, myself, and the crew, thanks for plying the waterways with us, and I hope I see you next time round the river bend.
Thanks, Sam, and thank you, everyone, for traveling the rivers of America with us today.
Engine room. Approach levee at 1/4 steam. Man the bow line. Purser, check freight and cargo. All hands prepare to dock. All passengers, stand by to go ashore.
All right, well, that's it. We did a full, complete tour of Tom Sawyer Island and the Liberty Belle Riverboat, including, of course, the pilot house, which was awesome. Got our pilot certificate out here, and even got to take a couple of spins around the river, which I was never expecting. I actually thought I was going to pop into Magic Kingdom today. Oh yeah, I'll go tootle around on Tom Sawyer Island. I'll be in and out. It'll just take a couple of minutes, and I'll be on my way to another park maybe. But the romance of the river and of the island and of the West sucked me in. The Magic Kingdom's magic, the history, the adventure. And I just couldn't pull myself away. One last walk through the interior here of the Liberty Belle, and I think that's gonna be just about it, my friends. I got a little carried away today filming. I hope you didn't mind, because after all, the Liberty Belle has been a treasure out here for about 50 years and change. And of course, riverboats have been a staple of Disney parks since 1955 and a staple of the American West since the very beginning. You know, I never want to leave the rivers of America. That's why we're going to end this episode right here. Do me a favor, check all the stuff down below in the description. If you enjoyed this, maybe share it with a friend, share it in your Facebook group or whatever. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you stopping by, hanging out with me all day on Tom Sawyer Island and the riverboat. And now, with our tribute to Mark Twain, I've got to say, we've done our duty. We can go home. I was gonna say we can go home and sleep well, but I forgot to show you the lower deck. Look at that. This is where the Irish would be dancing in the Titanic. Luckily, there's no Irish on board now. It's not dancing time, it's disembarking time. There's that big old boiler over there, creating the steam power that powers the Liberty Belle. Now we'll just cruise around the side of that really quick so you can see. Yeah, look at that boiler. Out onto the bow to be king of the world. Oh yeah. Look at that. Ah, it's not the same without Kate Winslet. All right, and now we'll actually depart. Thanks for watching, my friends. Thanks for hanging out. All ashore, let's go ashore. And don't worry, my friends, we have many more adventures coming from Walt Disney World before we head back home into the actual Old West, back to California. And until next time, happy sailing.
Your way down the stairs to the bottom of the boat to exit. The one and only exit will be at the bottom of the boat. Please make your way to the bottom of the boat now to exit. When using the stairs, please hold on tight to the handrail and watch your step. When you see where you're going, you'll be exiting at the bottom of the boat. Remember to grab all your personal belongings and take them with you to the bottom of the boat to exit. When exiting, please watch your step. We hope you enjoyed this wonderful, magical, timeless adventure today on the rivers of America in the Liberty Belle. And we hope y'all come back to see us again sometime. Really, we do. Please. And wherever your next journey takes you, we hope it's a magical one. Bye-bye!